Hi guys, Darth Deuces here with another toy-related video, not review, or kind of review I guess. But this is my thoughts on the Wicked Cool Toys line of Halo figures, which is called the Spartan Collection, I believe. These are the 3 figures I've picked up from the line so far. If you don't already know, which is potentially not because I haven't talked about Halo in a long time, but I love Halo. Like, Halo is like pretty much my favorite video game franchise. I love Halo. I liked Halo before I even started playing the games. I was buying some of the toys, like I collected the Mega Bloks and stuff like that, the like OG Halo Mega Bloks before I really got into the games. And now I play pretty much all the games now. But yeah, I love this video game franchise, and I love the characters, and you know, super soldiers wearing cool armor. That's always something I'm going to be down for. And Wicked Cool Toys, which I believe is a company owned by Jazzwares or something like that. They're doing their own Halo lines. They're doing a 1/18th scale line, which I have a couple figures from, and the Warthog, which is really cool. And then they have this 6.5-inch scale line, which is basically a 6-inch scale line of Spartan figures, or I assume just Spartan figures from the name Spartan Collection. I don't know if we'll get alternate characters or not. But I want to give my thoughts on the line because I love Halo. I want to talk about these figures. And I didn't really want to do a separate review on all these guys because it's kind of the way the figures are kind of, they're all different, but they're also all the same, if that makes any sense. As in, kind of they all look different, but they're all kind of built quite the same way, whereas they all kind of share the same pros and cons for the most part. But yeah, I also want to compare them to the McFarlane stuff, which I collected a bit back in the day, and again, I love those figures as well, and I kind of want to go over which ones might still be the dominant Halo figures, I suppose, to collect at the price points. But yeah, I've got the Master Chief here from the first wave, and then I have the Jerome, or Jeremy, I'm not sure. I think it's Jerome. I haven't played Halo Wars in so long. It's been so long, I don't remember. And I got this guy just yesterday. It's the from the same wave as Jerome, the Spartan Mark V, I think it's called. He's basically Noble 6 from Halo Reach with a different paint scheme. And a repaint of a figure from the Wave 1, I believe. So yeah, I just kind of want to go over kind of my pros of this line, the cons of this line, and we'll talk about them in regards to McFarlane toys, and try not to make this video super long, hopefully. But yeah, so first of all, I'm trying not to go all in with this line. It's really hard not to, because I do genuinely really like this line of figures. It's new Halo stuff. I'm always down for that. I definitely wanted to get Master Chief, and Jerome is a named character I never got the McFarlane figure for, so really happy to have him. And then I just picked up this guy because he looked cool, I'll be honest. I'm trying not to pick up all the random Spartans. Really hard not to, because they're really fun figures. So some of the pros here, of course, is scale. The McFarlane stuff was of a weird small scale. The McFarlane stuff was 5 inches, so they basically only scaled with themselves. But these are, they're 6.5 inches, and they scale a lot better with your 6-inch stuff. Spartans are supposed to be quite a bit taller and bigger than a standard human because of all their augmentations, so they fit in well, even though they're kind of like in the 7-inch spot. They scale really well with the 6-inch figures, which I think a lot of people are happy about. It's cool to get the Halo guys in the 6-inch form. The sculpted detail of these figures is also pretty well done. In terms of sculpt, I don't have too many big issues. Proportionally, I find Jerome's kind of shoulders are seem a little weird, but it might just be the armor. But aside from that, I really like the sculpt and the proportions of these guys. I love that they come with a bunch of accessories. Each figure that I've gotten so far has come with 2 weapons, and it's come with a bunch of different alternate hands, which you don't usually see with other toy lines. Usually they come with maybe a weapon accessory, maybe a couple, and that's it. The alternate hand stuff, maybe see a bit with Marvel Legends, that's it. These guys, all the figures come with a nice set of alternate hands, relax hands, grip hands, weapon hand, holding hands. Jerome and Master Chief come with this little command pointing hand, and this guy came with a salute hand. That's just awesome for different posing and display options, which I really love. Another thing I really like is the usage of the Vachrome on the visors. It looks so good. They use them on the Joyride figures, which unfortunately I never owned any of those. They stopped using them. McFarlane just used painted visors, which they looked perfectly fine. But these Vachrome ones just look so awesome. They're reflective. They look really good. They make them look very realistic, I guess. So I really like that. Some of the things I don't like The articulation schemes are pretty decent. Like the actual scheme of articulation is good, and for the most part, the execution is pretty decent. But I have heard of some QC issues people having with the joints and part pieces being loose or falling off. I haven't had those issues personally yet with any of these figures, but some of the articulation, the intent was good. The execution is not the greatest. Like the butterfly joints in like each one of these figures basically might as well not exist because they suck. You know, some joints like Master Chief's double hinge doesn't move quite as far as like I'd like it to in the elbows. The hips, I'd like to move them, be able to move them a bit further out, like this guy. If you move the hips too far, the leg will just pop off, which is better than breaking, but they don't move quite as far as I'd like them to. Another problem I have with the line is paint in a certain extent. I do really like that they're giving each figure this silver brushing to make the armor look a bit like, you know, worn and used with this, bring out some details with that silver brushing. And the paint for like different emblems and whatever looks good, but battle damage wise, it's kind of rough. Like Master Chief has this black scuff on his chest that doesn't look good. It is obviously looks like a printed emblem and not actual like scuffage or dirt, which I don't like. And also, even though these guys have this silver brushing, they don't have any sort of like black wash. And I think each of these figures, a little less so with Jerome because of the dark armor, it's a little harder to notice, but they would benefit so much from a black wash. And of course I could do it myself, but I think the line would look so much better if they started doing black wash, because unfortunately not Jerome so much because of the armor's dark color, but Chief and even more so the Mark V, I love their color schemes. But a black wash would make the armor and the figure itself look a little more realistic. And I don't want to say that they look toy-like because they're toys. They're toys. They're gonna look like toys, right? But make them look a little more realistic, right? Like other figures, and we'll look at them for own stuff. Had beautiful paint apps and washes and whatever to really bring out the sculpt detail and look like actual armor. You know, this guy for example, you know, I really like how he looks. But I love the color scheme too. The color scheme looks really awesome. But he's kind of plasticky looking, which I'm not a huge fan of. There's a lot of sculpted detail that's kind of just getting lost with not having a wash. That's kind of where I'm getting at here. Another pro I actually forgot to mention too is all these figures have this system where like on the thighs, you know, it just looks like normal armor, but you can actually take these parts out. Take them out if they want to come out, and you can flip them around, put them back into the leg, and it actually makes the pegs for the weapon storage, and they can store all their weapons on them. I love that. Or most of them. You can't store the energy sword on this guy, unfortunately. That's awesome. That's another awesome engineering feature. That's really, really cool. I'm happy they do that. It's another point in their favor. But, you know, like the pros, I think, outweigh the cons of these figures. I still really like them because, like I've said, I'm having a real tough time not going all in on this line. They're all been a lot of fun to pose and mess around with and put on display and look pretty good. And I just love having, a bit biased, I love having new Halo stuff. But there are certain cons, like I said. And again, also when it comes to the weapons look good for the most part. They are a bit on the gummy side, not too bad, but they are a little bit on the gummy side. Jerome didn't have trigger fingers for some reason, even though his gun has a trigger guard. I had to cut the trigger finger for him, which is, again, not a big deal, but a small issue. But yeah, I think it's still really fun figures for sure. But yeah, let's compare them to the kind of put these guys off to the side. If I can still get them in the frame, yeah, that's good. Put these guys over here. I'll bring in a few McFarlane Toys figures, Halo figures back when they still did things. So, you know, like right off the bat, as you can see, huge size difference. This is the 10th anniversary Combat Evolved Master Chief. And then here's a few of the Halo Reach figures, which, in my opinion, the Reach stuff is kind of where the line peaked, in my opinion. Move Chief right here. And we'll get Emil. There's one figure I haven't gotten yet from the Spartan collection. I'm still trying to get there, Emil, because I want to do the comparison, and I just like Emil. He's probably one of my favorites. But yeah, so some of the things that I think this line does better is the scaling, the 5-inch scale. It's a really weird scale. They only really scale with themselves, and you can't use them with other lines. Like maybe you want Master Chief chilling out with your Deadpool or something like that. You can do that with this figure. You can't really do it with these figures, right? I think that accessories is done better on these figures. These guys come with a bunch of hands, and all of them so far have come with 2 guns. With these guys, they don't slouch on the accessories, but they definitely don't have nearly as much and never come with alternate hands. That sort of stuff. They both have weapon storage, which is both done in their own way fairly well for the most part. Articulation-wise, I will say that the not Joyride, geez, I keep calling them Joyride. I get Joyride and Chazwares mixed up all the time, so I apologize if I call them Joyride like 5 times already. I just don't even register. I'm sorry. Jazzware / Wicked Cool Toys figures, they definitely have more accessories for sure. They definitely have the better articulation. These guys are not bad articulated in terms of old McFarlane stuff. These guys are actually fairly well articulated, but these guys are definitely a bit better on that regard. But where these guys definitely have them beat is the looks. Sculpt is comparable. I will say these guys are probably still better sculpted, and the paint is just night and day. These guys are so well painted. You've got all the different colors, you've got the wear and tear, you've got the washes and all that sort of stuff, which is absolutely awesome. They look amazing. You know, let's take a look at Emil. You know, just Emil here, one of my favorite figures that I still have. You know, I got this guy way back in 2011 or whenever he came out, right? Man, and this figure still blows me away how good it looks, right? Like, oh my god. If you guys actually want to see a separate video on these McFarlane figures, let me know. I have the whole Noble team. I might do a video review of the entire McFarlane Toys Noble team. I think that would be fun to do. But yeah, beautiful looking figures, man. Crazy. So yeah, I do like that part of these guys. So yeah, it's kind of like, I think that the new Jazzware Wicked Cool Toys figures, they're a solid line. I think they have a few improvements to make, but it's a really solid line. And if you want some new Halo figures to jump into, and especially if you want Halo figures that maybe scale with some of your other stuff in your collection, then I think it's a really awesome line. I really do. It's a really fun line. Again, that being said, they're not perfect figures. Figure lines rarely are, right? And do I think they're better than the McFarlane stuff? Both lines do things better than the other, and both lines do things worse than the other. The McFarlane stuff still holds up really well, and from a display piece standpoint, I prefer the McFarlane stuff. They look much better on display, and they are still fairly fun figures to mess with. But for just picking up a figure off the shelf, messing with it, posing it around, I do prefer the new stuff, and I also prefer the new stuff from a scaling standpoint. But that's about it. I'm not going to rant on too much. This video is about the length I want it to be. If you guys collect the Halo stuff, interested in collecting Halo stuff or whatever, I would be very interested to hear what your guys' standpoint is. Do you prefer the McFarlane stuff? Do you prefer the Jazzware stuff? Do you even collect the Jazzware stuff? That sort of stuff? Yeah, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys about that. But that's about it. That's all. Just kind of had a little conversation about the Jazzwares figures, because I haven't done a video on them, and I love Halo and just kind of want to talk about them. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Always appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. My Instagram is in the link down in the description below, where I post stuff toy related basically every day, or pretty close to every day. So check that out if you want to see some toy photography. You'll see some haul stuff, all that sort of good stuff. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.